So we've gone live a minute before time. We're just waiting for our participants and our experienced architect to join us. Hi, hello, Mr. Ajit.
Hi Rachit, how are you doing? Good.
I'm good. So we're right on time and we're waiting for other participants to join us.
Great. I have a few things, so if I need to show some of these things, this is like emergency survival blanket, or I don't know. Is this good enough? Will they
Yeah,
be able to make
I
out?
think that will be great. I think this will be good.
Okay. I hope I'm not blocking anything that I shouldn't be blocking behind me.
I think we're fine.
We're fine.
We're
Okay.
already live, so I mean, should be fine. We just wait for a couple of people to join us. We already have 3 viewers with us.
Okay.
Mr. Bajaj, so we've got a couple of viewers with us. We've now four, and probably in the next few minutes, the number's gonna increase. Since this video is going to be live on YouTube later on, which people can view, I think we can start off. And for the viewers, this is for the viewers. I'm gonna start off with an introduction of Mr. Bajaj, what he does and what all he's achieved in. And let me just start off. So he's an adventurer and an explorer per se, and he's the first Indian to have completed the polar trilogy, and which basically means he's been to the North Pole, to the South Pole, and across Greenland. He's skied to these places. He's got over 30 years of experience in adventure sports, and he's the first Asian to have rafted and kayaked some of the most challenging rivers across the world. And by the world, I mean the whole world, spanning 6 continents. So he even won he was conferred the Padma Shri in 2012 by the President of India, and as we all know, it's the highest civilian awards in India. He's won a bronze medal in the national games for kayaking. He's won silver medals, bronze medals in international rafting competitions in Switzerland and Siberia. I mean, it's just like the places that he's visited, the achievements that he's accomplished is just there's so much I could talk about, but we'll keep some of that for later on. He's the founder and managing director of Snow Leopard Adventures Private Limited, which is a national tourism award winning organization which has been promoting innovative and sustainable adventure travel since 1990. That's about 24 years. He's the co founder and director of AdventureNation.com, which is where we are today, which is the leading adventure wildlife company. He's the founder of Planet Harmony, an initiative to integrate to the mainstream children from disturbed areas such as J&K, Northeast, and Naxal affected areas in India. He's also a member of the Himalayan Environment Trust. So, I mean, there's so much more that we can talk about, but Mr. Bajaj, any opening lines for our viewers and for participants who are going to join us?
Um, Thank you so much, Rachit. I'm really excited to be here and really looking forward to the Times Passion Trails winter trek to Ladakh in search of the snow leopard. I think it's going to be an experience of a lifetime. Just to be in Ladakh for me personally is a high. Um, they call it the last Shangri-La, and each time I go there, I realize why it is called the last Shangri-La. So really excited to be here and looking forward to the trail.
That's great. That's great. We've got some exciting viewers and participants with us. We've got a good number of people who registered for the trail. Let's see who make the cut. And it's I mean, I've had a conversation with you offline about the conditions there, and I wish I was there. I wish I could have been there, being a part of this trail. I'm sure it's gonna be crazy,
You should
crazy.
join us, Rachit. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna try my best. So we had some, in fact, we already had some questions with us, which people were asking online and on our social properties. So, like, people just wanted to know about the topography of the region where there's going to be trekking. So, any info on that? Let's start off with that.
I'll start by explaining what we are going to do. We're going to fly from Delhi to Leh. We're going to, which is at about 11,000 feet, and we're going to spend the first 3 days acclimatizing in Leh. You see, because Leh is high altitude, it's critical. It's absolutely vital that we spend some time acclimatizing. You know, there's less oxygen in the air, and we that's the time we have to take a few precautions, simple precautions. After the first 3 days in Leh, which is the capital of the Ladakh region, we are going to drive for about an hour to a little hamlet called Zingchen, and from Zingchen, we'll walk for about an hour and a half to this camping spot called Husing. Husing is said to be the capital of the snow leopard, if sightings in the world. It's a part of the Hemis National Park, and which is known for its high altitude biodiversity. So and then we're going to spend the next 4 nights in that area, 3 nights camping and a night um, staying, doing a homestay in a village called Rumbak, with a Ladakhi family that stay, in these very harsh conditions in remote regions of our country. And this is also the time we're going to be walking in these mountains. Ladakh, as you know, is a trans-Himalayan region, gets very little precipitation, so but it is going to be extremely cold. The ambient temperature is going to be in the range of about minus 15 degrees Celsius. But with the wind chill factor, it's likely to drop to minus 25, could go down as much as minus 30 degrees Celsius. So well, the Ladakh, as you know, is kind of like moonscape. It's barren, a treeless expanse. There's very little vegetation there. You have these smooth rolling hills, but then you also have these rugged mountains, high snow-covered peaks, and so you have a mixture of everything. And it's, as I was saying earlier, this is going to be the trip of a lifetime.
Yeah, it sounds intense, and it sounds intense in a very good way. Something that I've frankly, I don't think I've experienced anything close to that. So yeah, that sounds good. So keeping these factors in mind, for example, the lack of vegetation and the temperatures going down to say minus 30, in fact. So what is that, the most important thing that that participants on a trek like this, should keep in mind while training for it, just to ensure that things go as per the plan, and I'm sure a lot of training might be required. So what is that one key important tip that you would give to the participants?
I think Confucius said it in the 6th century BC. I think he spoke about previous preparation. And I think previous preparation here is going to, there's going to be two facets to it. One, of course, is your training. And I'm talking intense cardio training here. Need to be really, really physically fit. I would suggest something like be able to run about 5 kilometers. You are in a high altitude area. You are going to be trekking up to perhaps 14 or 15,000 feet in the extreme winter cold. So I would say extreme fitness is most important. That's critical. It's vital. And the other facet, of course, is your gear. Which we can talk about as well in detail. I think there is a saying nowadays, which is that there is no such thing as bad weather. You have bad gear. So I think we're going to need good equipment. and most importantly, great fitness, and also to follow some basic rules when we are at high altitude, and everything should go well. Yeah. And
Yeah,
I would also suggest that a doctor's fitness certificate would be mandatory for a trip like this.
I think that's a key tip for our participants. So so you were talking about the gear, so which that made me think. So you've been into adventure sports and trekking for quite some time now. So for example, how have things changed over the past, say, 20 years, 25 years? I'm sure there have been a lot of advancements in the kind of gear that you get today as compared to, say, 25 years back. So how do you feel?
Absolutely, in the gear, and most importantly in the mindset as well. Out of college, when I got into adventure sports, or in college and school, those days, 2.5 decades back, adventure sports, it was considered death-defying kind of stuff, daredevilry. But people over the years have realized that if it is done properly with the right fitness, the right gear, following a set of guidelines, adventure sports can be extremely safe and a whole lot of fun. And of course, in the last 2 or 3 decades as well, gear and adventure sports equipment has literally gone through a revolution as well. As far as this particular trail is concerned, I think the principle of layering is critical to stay warm, right? And it's also important to maintain an appropriate body temperature, because we are going to be hiking. So you start off with a base layer, which is high wicking stuff like capelline. On top of that, and I have some of this stuff to show you.
Yeah, please, we'd love to see
So
some of that.
that's a base layer, capelline, yeah,
Okay.
not cotton. We want to avoid cotton. Then on top of that, a fleece layer, yeah, something like this, a fleece jacket. This works really, really well. And on top of that, a shell, which should be, windproof, but it should be breathable, right?
Yeah.
And that's what you wear on top. Bottom depend, but what I would be wearing is again a base layer, which would be capelline, and on top of that, I would have stop. So that's what I would wear when I start hiking, right? And a balaclava, gloves. So you wear a pair of liner gloves, that's thin gloves, working gloves. You can, do a few things with those gloves, like even use your camera equipment. And on top of that, you can wear um, bigger mitts, over mitts, as we call them, something like this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so again, the layering principle that keeps you warm. Socks, a pair of nylon socks, again avoid cotton, and then on top of that, a pair of mountaineering socks like this one would work really well. And I think a pair of hiking shoes, good hiking shoes, would also be absolutely critical for this trail. You would also need a pair of glasses, snow glasses, like this for mountaineering, because there is a lot of UV light there that that can be harmful for the eyes. So that's pretty much it. We'll be carrying a knapsack with us that'll have a water bottle. You want a water bottle with a big, something like this, not a small opening, but a big opening on top, because with a small opening, water can freeze, right? And maybe even a water bottle parka, as it's called. But then along with that, we'll be carrying a few specialized bits in our knapsack, a personal first aid kit, an extra jacket. When you stop trekking, you need a big, thick parka, as we call it. This will also be in your knapsack, so something like this. But for the snow leopard trail, you don't want something as bright as this. You want earthy colors, right? Because Um, that just ensures that you know, on a trail like this, when you're out there for wildlife, you don't want to wear very bright colors. You just want to fit in with the natural colors of the environment there.
So
Yeah,
nothing that surprises the snow leopard.
absolutely.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So a knapsack carrying your water bottle, your personal medical kit, some, your extra gloves, water, your outermost layer parka whenever you stop, um, and some snacks and so on, things to eat as well. Maybe a packed lunch, and a duffel bag that'll carry the rest of your stuff. That'll be carried by horses to our camping spot at Husing. Yeah.
Yeah. So how so this so there's a lot of equipment and gear that you've spoken about. We've seen some of the key things that people are going to be wearing and going to be taking with us. Another question that we had. Is so is there any part of the body which is exposed to the cold? Broadly, we're covering all the parts. But for
Yeah.
example, say the nose, I'm guessing that has to stay open or out in the cold. So how does the body react? I mean, react to that?
I think we will be carrying face masks as well.
Okay.
Because the tip of the nose is against is prone to frostbite.
Okay. Yeah.
Your hands, your feet, your fingers, your toes, and the tip of your nose. So we will have face masks with us, but then again, depending on the wind and the temperature at the time, we can decide whether we want to wear it or not.
Great. And this trek, how would you rate the difficulty level, say, as compared to any other treks that you've been on? So how difficult or challenging is this going to be?
So in terms of the actual trekking, I think it's fine. It is the altitude and the cold that make the grade go a little bit higher. I think if you're in reasonable fitness, you've done some amount of hiking in the past, it should be absolutely fine. There is no technical climbing or snow and ice climbing involved over here. So anybody with reasonable fitness, some experience of walking in the mountains should be good to go.
That sounds good. That sounds good. So you're saying that Ladakh in itself gives you a high when you travel there, and we've all seen the beauty of that place in various movies through our friends and all the adventure activities that take place. So how is it different from, say, somewhere outside of India? So what makes Ladakh special?
Um, Again, I think, okay, well, it's the terrain, definitely. But for me personally, it's the Ladakhi people. Um, I think, as you know, it's Ladakh is predominantly Buddhist. You also have Muslims, Hindus, Sikhs, and some Christians living there in peaceful coexistence. So I think the people there are absolutely amazing. They are what I like to call happy campers. They're just very, very gentle, warm, affectionate people, and that in itself is the biggest high. And then you're in this place where what I like to use the term SOS, scenic out overdose syndrome. So wherever you look, it's pristine beauty all around you, and just the culture, visiting some of the monasteries. For instance, on this trail, we'll be going to Thikse Monastery, which is like a replica of the Potala Palace in Lhasa. And we'll be joining the monks there in prayer. So all these factors, they add up. But if you were to say the one most important thing, I mean, if I had to pick one thing about Ladakh that I like the most, it's definitely the wonderful people of Ladakh.
Great. I think that's something unique to India, I would say. I mean, that's what everyone has to say about the people are welcoming. And yeah, I've heard a lot about those small stalls around Ladakh where people just love the Maggie. They would never cherish something as simple as a Maggie in Delhi, what they get in Ladakh. So yeah, that should be that's great. Um, so say trekking, there's going to be some amount of trekking. So how is it different from the other adventure sports that you might have taken on? So what's the experience different like? Say for example, from extensive mountain climbing, for example.
So trekking, Rachit, is the simplest, the purest form of adventure sports. It's walking. It's walking in the mountains, and I think to most of us human beings, it comes naturally. No special skills are required as such. I think a lot of it, I like to believe, when you're walking in the mountains, it's instinct. Yes, of course, if you're scrambling up steep slopes or coming up or down steep slopes. There is a bit of technique involved as well, but it is the simplest, the purest form of adventure sports, that is trekking. And mountaineering, of course, you need a lot more specialized equipment and skill. When you get into specialized rock and ice and snow climbing as well, um, um, or whitewater rafting, we'll be going past the frozen Indus River, which during the summer months we do kayak and raft down that beautiful river. So very, very different, but simple, pure, and a lot of fun. Very exhilarating.
I think I need to take up trekking more seriously and more often. Sound very interesting. So we're about a month. We're exactly a month away from the beginning of the trek. So what sort of a training schedule should people, take up once they get selected and say there's about 25 days left? So what sort of training schedule should they take up? What
I
would be your
think I think the most important part is fitness. So I would say running about, if you can jog about 5 kilometers, you're absolutely fit to go. Some bit of stretching, some bit of working on your strength as well, a few push-ups, pull-ups perhaps, and you're all set. But I think a good amount of fitness, general, and as I mentioned earlier, ensuring that every part of your body is working fine. So a general medical checkup would also be a good idea.
Great. And which reminds me, so we had some questions coming in about people are able to run, say, 5 kilometers, they've got a decent amount of physical fitness. But when it comes to challenging treks or, a trail like this, there's a lot of mental strength that is required. There's a lot of mental toughness that is required. So, what would be your tips on developing that?
So I think a lot of that mental toughness on the trail will come from your physical fitness as well. If you're physically fit, I think mentally you'll be able to cope with some of these things a lot easier. But I think the most important thing that you need is a positive attitude. On a trail like this, your spirit of adventure, and uh, I would say most important, your sense of humor as well. So those are very important things to take along on this trip. But yes, I would just say that prepare hard physically, and the rest we'll take care of while you're on the trail.
This sounds like super fun. So, how many days of camping are we looking at? So, the participants, how many days of camping are they looking at?
So we'll be camping for 3 nights, and again, this is at this beautiful spot called Husing, where the nighttime temperature is likely to drop to minus 90 degrees, minus 20 degrees Celsius. So 3 nights of camping and 1 night in a homestay with a Ladakhi family in at this beautiful village called Rumbak.
Okay, that should be good fun for the participants. So, any do's and don'ts for the participant during the trail? Like anything specific you would want to tell the participant that they, should ideally avoid or maybe should keep in mind while they're on the trail?
We will be briefing participants about two main things. One, of course, is going to be the safety aspect. So when you land in Leh, number one aspect, of course, is acclimatizing. Then, of course, when you're out of doors, You want to stay together. We'll have a buddy system. We don't want to do, I mean, it's going to be our job to ensure that the participants stay safe and happy. And the second aspect, which we'll be briefing them about, is the sustainability aspect. We are going to strictly follow the leave no trace policy. We're going to, follow every bit of the global sustainable tourism criteria, which is about having a positive impact on the environment that you're going to be visiting, being sensitive to the local village population, and carrying all our non-biodegradable trash back with us, and so on and so forth. So it's going to be divided into safety and sustainability, our do's and don'ts. And then equally important also to stay healthy on this trail. Most illnesses while trekking, most stomach-related illnesses happen because you don't wash your hands. So we will be carrying sanitizers with us, and so on and so forth. Got to stay hydrated. So there are some medical concerns here as well. Got to ensure that we drink enough fluids, avoid alcohol because that can cause dehydration as well. And contrary to popular belief, alcohol does not make you warm. In fact, if anything, alcohol makes you colder, because you lose more body heat if you drink alcohol. It dilates your blood vessels and so on. So there's a lot of stuff we will be talking about: safety, how to stay healthy, and the sustainability aspect as well.
Any specific medicines that you would suggest which would help people to acclimatize, as it's for some it might be a huge altitude gain, so just to ensure that they're okay? Any specifics on medicines that you would recommend?
So this is something I would definitely suggest that participants talk to their doctor about. There is a medicine called acetadiazomol, which is Diamox, and you can start having that medicine 3 days before you get up to high altitude. But again, if you're allergic to sulfur drugs, then Diamox is not the medicine for you. But it's best if you talk to your doctor about this.
Great. Now I think we should start talking about the snow leopard here. So I mean, this is something that might or might not happen. Is this something? It's a mysterious creature, I would say. It is grand in its own sense, for what I've read and what I've heard. So how was it when you first spotted the snow leopard? So tell us more about it.
So well, my first let me start by just quoting a friend, Krishnan, who lives in Bombay, and he's been on a couple of snow leopard expeditions as well. And what he says is, to see a snow leopard, be prepared to not see a snow leopard in the wild. So it's a very elusive cat, and the chances of seeing, although we are going to a place which has a lot of snow leopards and the sightings have been good, having said that, there is no guarantee that we are going to see a snow leopard. I think the fact that we are going to be in such beautiful surroundings, we are going to see a lot of other fauna and flora as well, but there is no guarantee of seeing a snow leopard, right? We are going to have some naturalists with us who are going to go out. We are going to look for signs and symptoms of the presence of the snow leopard, like the scraping, the scat, and their pug marks and so on. Nature is like a book you have to read, and especially when you're out there looking for the snow leopard. The snow leopard is an elusive, they call it the grey ghost of the Himalaya, the phantom of the Himalaya, because it's very, very difficult to spot. It has a wide geographical spread. It's found in Mongolia, Siberia, coming into Central Asia, Himalayan countries, Nepal, Bhutan, and India, of course, and Hindu Kush, Pakistan and Afghanistan, and Central Asian. There are 4 Central Asian countries as well where you have the snow leopard. But according to IUCN estimates, IUCN is the International Union of Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources, they estimate that there are less than 7,000 snow leopards in the wild. and it's on the endangered list. And the reason it's endangered is because of two main reasons. One is because of its pelt, um, which is used for making fur coats and so on, which is of course banned. But that's one reason. And the second reason is because of human-animal conflict. Sometimes these snow leopards do go and prey on the livestock in some of the villages, and so the villagers, of course, that creates a conflict.
Yeah. So we were talking about other flora and fauna that people might encounter. So what sort of animals are we looking at? I think we've had a bit of a network compatibility issue. Just give us a minute and we'll be back with Mr. Bajaj. So we've had some really interesting information and tips from Mr. Bajaj himself. He even showcased some of the stuff that he's already started to pick up for the trail, like the socks and the jackets and all that we saw. So it's gonna be great. We're still looking at some more questions. If you have any more questions, you can ask us in the comment section. We'll be more than glad to put them out to Mr. Bajaj, and you can even join us on the Hangout. We've got some spots empty. And Mr. Bajaj is back with us. And we have another participant with us, Mr. Sunny.
Hi, sorry, there was a technical glitch here. Yeah.
Not an issue, sir. So we were talking about other animals that we might be able to spot, the participants.
Right. So, Sunny, right? Yeah. Is that a question from Sunny?
Well, that's something that I had when we were having a discussion on the fauna. We'll get on to Sunny's. Yeah.
Okay, so what happens is in the winter months, the prey base of the snow leopard, and the main prey that the snow leopard feeds on is the Himalayan blue sheep, or bharal as it's called. And because the bharals move down to lower altitudes, the snow leopard also moves down. So we are likely to see a lot of interesting species like the bharal. We are going to go towards a pass called Gandala to look at the argali, which is the largest wild sheep in the world. We are also going to see a whole lot of birds, such as the golden eagle, the lammergeier. There are chances of seeing the red fox, marmots, of course. We are likely to see a few of those. So it's not just the snow leopard. There's a whole lot of other fauna and avifauna that we are likely to see as well.
That sounds good. Sunny, you had a question. You can please feel free to ask Mr. Bajaj.
Go ahead, Sunny.
Let me in the meanwhile, let me just get on to another question that we had. So what's the maximum altitude gain we're looking at? What's the maximum altitude that people might, experience?
So we are planning on going to the Gandala. This is a pass when we'll be at the homestay in Rumbak, and this pass is about 16,000 feet. I don't think we're going to go all the way to the top, but we're going to be going there looking for the argali. Yeah.
Great.
So that's the maximum altitude we are likely to hit.
So we've already spoken about that. It's gonna be, we have to prepare to not see the snow leopard to see the snow leopard. But so what would be a tip to which enhances the chances of spotting one? What would What should people participants keep in mind while they're out on the trek, trying to look out, trying to spot a snow leopard?
So as I mentioned, we will be using a few tricks in the trade. Like asking some of the villagers there if they've seen any snow leopards in a particular area. Then that's the area we are likely to go to. We will also have some very experienced naturalists with us, right? And we will all be learning on this trail how to look maximize our chances of spotting the snow leopard by looking at signs and symptoms of the snow leopard, like their pug marks, like their scrapings, like the scat, their urine spray as well. And then there are other things that tell you as well, like the alarm call of the bharal, or sometimes magpies get very excited around a kill, or you can see golden eagles hovering above a kill as well. So we will learn about all of this once we get to the trail to try and maximize our chances of seeing a snow leopard. Yeah, but again, I'd like to repeat that there is no guarantee, and if we are going to a very beautiful area of this planet, and let's just say that if we are able to see the snow leopard, that's going to be a bonus.
Great, great. Now, say even if we do spot the snow leopard, and say even if we don't, the area in itself is going to be mesmerizing. Ladakh is a region which is magical in itself. So, how is it going to be for photography enthusiasts on the trek?
Um, Again, I was talking about SOS, scenic overdose syndrome. I think it's a great place for photography, and a few tips about photography that I'd like to just talk about. Important because it's so cold. It's important to carry spare batteries, and important to keep your batteries in your inner pockets. Because everything freezes over there. Of course, you need the longest lengths possible, because these snow leopard sightings are from a long distance. Invariably, the best chances are seeing them on a ridge. So some of the equipment recommended by professionals are, of course, your best bet is balancing between weight and long reach, right? So some cameras that are recommended are Canon PowerShot SX530 HS, 24 to 1200 zoom, or Nikon Coolpix P600 24 to 1440 zoom. You should bring a tripod, spare memory cards, a holster camera case works best, and what we are also advised is that for snow, add +1 EV exposure to make snow white, else snow will be exposed as gray. And binoculars as well is going to be an important piece of equipment that we're going to have to carry. So any 8x42 or 10x42 is fine. Yeah, and Nikon Monarch series are recommended.
Great. I think that's quite important for photographers to keep in mind, because there's no going back once you're on the trail to get any more stuff. We've got Mr. Dilip with us here. Mr. Dilip, do you have a question for Mr. Bajaj? Please feel free to ask.
Hi, Mr. Bajaj.
Hi, Dilip.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thanks.
I'm from Pune, and I've been following this up quite very since a long time, likewise. And I've so registered, and I'm hoping to get selected out here.
Great.
The only thing that's keeping me a little worried is my age factor. I'm like 49 now. But
age is but a number, and 49, you don't need to worry, Dilip. If you're physically fit and you enjoy the outdoors, then 49, you're a young man. So don't worry about that.
Well, I keep myself quite fit otherwise, and I've been to Ladakh once long back, a couple of years back, and I absolutely love that place up. So I'm hoping to make it with you.
Fantastic. We are hoping you'll be able to join us. We have had a fantastic response for this Times Passion Trail. I think we've got more than 1,000 participants as of right now who are interested.
Wow.
Yeah, about 1,000. You know, it's going to be a tough call, because I think everybody who's keen to go, I wish we could take them along and share our passion with every one of you. Yeah, it's going to be a tough call. Yeah, because what I'm being told is that everybody who's registered everyone is you know, they've got either past experience, or they're photographers, or you know, everybody can actually make the cut.
Okay. Mr. Bajaj, I had just one question out there.
Sure.
Does this include the Delhi, Leh and Leh Delhi airfare, or this is excluding that?
No, this does not include the airfare.
Okay.
Yeah,
So the whole thing would be approximately 1 lakh, because if I were to travel from Pune, Delhi, Leh.
If you're coming in from Pune, well, not as much as that. I would say it may be about 80, 85 in that region. Yeah, but that's assuming you don't have to buy any gear. Yeah, we'll be providing sleeping bags and tents and mattresses and all of that, right? So all your sleeping gear will be taken care of by us. It's just your personal clothing and boots that you know, you'll need to ensure that you have all of that with you.
I'm geared up. I'm fitted up for that. So let's see.
Great. All right.
Wish you guys all the luck and have a great trip. Whether I join you guys or not, have a great trip and great talking to you.
Thank you, Dilip.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for your questions.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. So that was great. We have another questions in the comment section. So we'll be traveling through the national park. Can you tell us more about that?
So this is the Hemis National Park. It's, you know, it's known for its high altitude biodiversity. We'll be, you know, as far as the Hemis National Park is concerned, we'll be visiting only a small part of it. It's a massive park, you know, and we'll be visiting a small part of it, maybe about 40 square kilometers of the park. Yeah. And this particular place where we are camping, Husing, that, as I mentioned earlier, is the snow leopard capital of the world. They consider it as the snow leopard capital of the world.
So
and in Ladakh, yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Rachit.
Sorry, so I was just like wondering. So what is it about the snow leopard that has, you know, mesmerized adventurers for centuries? Like, what's so special about that particular creature, and say not a tiger? I know it's easier to spot, but I just would want to know more about, like, what's so special.
See, it's a very rare, very elusive species found high up in the mountains, very difficult to spot. You know, they call it the gray ghost, the phantom of the Himalaya. And as I said, it's endangered. So seeing a snow leopard or spotting a snow leopard, you know, you've got to be very, very lucky if you're able to see it. And in a way, it represents to us adventurers, you know, the purest of the pure, of the Himalayas, of nature, of wilderness. And you know, I think the name snow leopard is just synonymous with these high parts of the Himalaya, and because it's so rare, so elusive, that it's almost has folklore status, you know. So you know, each time any one of us see it, we consider ourselves very, very lucky.
So it's going to be a personal achievement of sorts if one spots a snow leopard.
Absolutely, yes.
Great. So another something that one of our participants wanted to know, one of our people on the page, is any other similar treks on, say, the one that we're going on, the trail to spot the snow leopard, or through Ladakh. In India, is there any other something which could be experienced somewhere else? Would you say?
I think we are blessed as far as India is concerned. To the best of my knowledge, while there are 12 countries where you are where you have the snow leopard, but I think as far as snow leopard tourism is concerned, India is the only country in the planet where you have snow leopard tourism, right? A successful snow leopard tourism. In a way, it's a huge opportunity. It's also a massive responsibility because it's an endangered species. If I make, say, it is something we hold, the snow leopard is something we hold in trust as a species for our future generations. The other area or something similar would perhaps be in Spiti. So if you get up to Kaza, that area near Kibber and beyond, that's also another great place for going out in search of the snow leopard. Yeah. But one thing I'd like to say, even if we don't find a snow leopard, the rare elusive snow leopard, we are likely to find our own snow leopard on this trail.
That's something that sounds good. That I think that's reason enough for people to go on the trail. So yeah, thanks for so much of info. So I mean, before we conclude, how would you sum up the Trek Through Ladakh trail in a single line? So what is it for you?
In a single line, that's tough, but I would like to say exhilarating experience of a lifetime.
Great. Anything else you would want to add before we close? Anything else you would want to tell the participants, prospective, or even people who would want to go to another trek some other time? What would any closing thoughts?
I think as far as this particular trip is concerned, we are going to need a lot of flexibility depending on where the snow leopard has been sighting. I like to call it a nitwit experience, which stands for no itinerary tour, winged travel. So, if our naturalists go out or some of the local people have seen signs and symptoms of the snow leopard somewhere, that's where we're going to head out to. So we're going to need a lot of flexibility. And as I said, I think it's going to be hopefully a life-changing experience and exhilarating experience of a lifetime. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone, for participating, and we're sure to have a great trail on this one. Thank you again.
Thanks.